Hi, it's Thete here, and after quite a few delays, we finally, and the beta, been able to do the Legion Invasion event. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it basically takes the form of, what sort of rewards you can get, what we can basically expect when it goes live. So the first thing to note is there are half a dozen zones on Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms where these invasion events can be taking place at any one time. The only way to find the invasion events, unfortunately, is to click on each of these zones in turn. You can't just look at that continent and see where it is. That's a bit of a drawback in my view. So once you've found it, then you just need to go over there, and there's a multi-step process. In this particular case, it's in Ashara, and we just have to defend the gate into Orgrimmar. There's in the other zones, there'll be other points where we do a similar thing. It's a fill the bar. We're just going to go over there. We can see here the Legion ship raining down the demons, as well as Fellfire, and we just have to kill things, usual thing, to fill up a bar. On the completion of the stage, you get some currency called nether shards. I'll show you what you can get with those at the end of this, and then another stage will start. This one's quite a short one. It's just 2 of one particular type of elite mob and 1 of another. It's not a personal thing, of course. It's a zone-wide thing. It seems that I'm not entirely sure how much input you personally have to do into it, but it seems that you have to be credited with doing something at least, so at least get a few taps on it. But the first few stages are relatively straightforward. It's the last stage that's tricky. So in the third stage, we sort of move away from the gate in this particular case. You can see on the map, I just had the map up, it'll show you all the little invasion points where you can go over to. It's generally best to follow the crowd. There are mobs that you can solo. There are non-elites. There's also elites. There's also very tough mini-boss type ones for which you'd need a large group. And it goes without saying, it's probably worth more for the bar to be taking the bigger mob. So at this point, I'm just doing a few things solo, but then I sort of get the idea that going around in a group is probably better, and a big old Zergfest better still. Now, I mean, I looked at the map and there's a number of large green skulls about, and it just says kill Demon Lord. So you go up to this thing, you assume this is one. This is very clearly, well, it looks like a boss type thing. This isn't actually the one for the final zone though. It takes a little while to actually appear. In this particular zone, that's back at the gates of Orgrimmar. Of course, in the different zones it'll be in different places. Again, I'm not sure whether it's supposed to be intended that it takes so long to appear, but just watch out for that. It can be a little confusing. Learned the hard way as well. Don't take these things with only 1 or 2 people, because these are pretty tough, and especially if it's not your faction zone, you'll probably find, as I did, that the graveyard is quite a long way away and not at all convenient. As is par for the course, I suppose, being beta and an event where loads of people are encouraged to go into just a small number of places. Got disconnected a few times, at least straight back in, but then found that the stage I was on had reverted back to stage 1, so I had to sort of help out where I could to go back through the 3 stages before I could get back onto the 4th stage. At least this time I knew where it was. Now, the final boss, unlike the one on the beach that I thought was this Demon Lord, is, as you can see, an actual boss, an actual raid boss, with pretty difficult mechanics. There's presumably different types. This one has sort of healing abilities as well, and when the tank dies, and the tank inevitably dies and there's not enough tanks to take over, and he goes around blatting everyone and people panic, inevitably what happened on this one is people will try and kite it into Orgrimmar. It's not going to work in this particular case. It just resets. So it's one of those annoying ones where when you get a bit of a streak where it's going on to DPS and one-shotting them, whatever, or two-shotting them, they are likely to try and go to what they think is a safe place. And I don't blame them, because dying is not a good thing, and it's also, yeah, I mean, if the graveyard's a long way away, it's a really annoying process, dying. But yeah, the boss will just reset, and it takes a long time to get it down. And it's not just the large amount of health it's got, which it does. It is, as I say, the fact that it has a healing mechanic as well. It does a lot of AoE at certain points. It's a really shit one to be a melee on. You can see I'm sort of standing up here because I can sort of see this, although I do feel guilty, and then sort of run in now and then as well. But of course I get myself killed, as inevitably I would. Just have to hope that I get back in time for it to die, which fortunately I did. I did just about, when he was doing mad amounts of AoE, when he was on very low health, and I was just trying to stay well out of range, and put on the odd sneaky judgment when I can. My crap healing not really enough to keep me up, but you know, there'll be some people without any self-healing at all, especially ones that you can do on yourself without actually having to be in melee range, where you really don't want to be in the final part. So after all 4 stages, I ended up with a total of 200 of the Nether Shard, as well as 1 lesser Legion Cache and 1 greater Legion Cache. The lesser Legion Cache had a 685 item in for me. The greater one had another 685 item, plus an item that can upgrade what it says is a Legion Invasion weapon up to a maximum of 725. Now, Legion Invasion weapons, presumably you can get these dropping off other caches as well. It's all a random thing. You're obviously expected to do these quite a lot, moving from zone to zone. As I say, there's half a dozen zones which at any one time might have an invasion up. They don't always have at any one time. It's a case of waiting around for them. But during the course of the invasion event, you're bound to be able to get quite a lot of these done. Best to go in a group, I would say. And then let's go and have a look at the vendor for what we can use these Nether Shards on. So if you go to one of the vendors, you can see you're going to need more than 200 to get anything. There are some transmog sets that you can get. There's also a number of level 700 item level items that you can get, a range of these. So if you are not quite geared up, or you've got an alt that you want to play in Legion and its gear's a bit behind, this might be one way to get it up. Remember, I've been playing in the alpha and the beta. The pre-made characters they give us are level 680, and that's more than fine to be starting with. So if you're getting loads of 700 item level gears, plenty. So that's the part of the invasion event that we'll be sort of actively farming to try and get gear, or we will on perhaps some alts that need that gear, or even on a main that wants the transmog gear. So I hope you found it useful. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and until next time, I'll catch you later.